hair-thin wood veneer replaces painter's tape, giving a crisp color split that lasts. The promise of a flawless paint line without bleeding or peeling tape is incredibly tempting. Most of us have been there. You spend hours carefully applying painter's tape, only to pull it off and find a jagged, uneven edge where the paint bled underneath. It is frustrating. But there is a different approach, one borrowed from the world of fine woodworking. It uses a physical barrier, a thin strip of material, to create a perfect, crisp separation between two colors, no tape involved. The idea is simple. Instead of relying on tape to block paint, you use a solid guide. In our case, that guide is a strip of wood veneer. You apply it right along the line where your two paint colors will meet. This creates a tiny, physical wall that stops the brush in its tracks, guaranteeing a razor-sharp edge. The trick lies in the preparation. It is less about the painting itself and more about setting the stage for success. Now, you might wonder, why 1.5 millimeters specifically? That is a very specific number. It comes from the manufacturing process. For example, in the production of certain reconstituted veneers, 1.5 millimeter birch veneer layers are laminated together to create a blank, which is then sliced into thinner sheets for surface applications 1. This 1.5 mm thickness is a common and readily available size for these layered wood products, making it a practical choice for a DIY project. The key is that the 1.5 mm strip acts as a physical barrier, not a chemical one like tape. Tape works by adhesion, but paint can still seep under it if the surface is not perfectly smooth or if the tape is not pressed down firmly. This happens more often than not. A physical guide, on the other hand, cannot be penetrated by liquid paint in the same way. It is a wall, not a temporary sticker. This concept of using a raised profile to create a line is not new in design. In fact, it is a standard technique for achieving what is known as a shadow line. A shadow line is a deliberate, crisp gap or recess that creates a visual separation between surfaces, giving a piece of furniture or an architectural detail a refined, premium look. The principle is the same. A physical separation creates a clean, defined edge. In high-end interior design, this technique is often used with metal profiles to separate large veneered panels. For instance, a 20 mm metal trim can be used to create a shadow gap, making each panel look intentional and considered 15. We are simply scaling that principle down. We are using a slim, readily available wooden strip to achieve a similar effect on a single wall, at a fraction of the cost. However, a critical consideration when working with any veneer is what is known as telegraphing. This is when imperfections from the substrate underneath show through the thin veneer layer. A veneer manufacturer explains that shadow lines can appear where an MDF core meets a solid wood edge because the materials move at different rates in response to humidity 13. This structural knowledge is vital to ensure our painted line stays clean over time. The key to preventing such issues with our 1.5 mm trick lies in the application. The strip itself can act as the physical barrier, just like the solid wood edge in the manufacturer's example. To absorb any potential movement, a slight V-joint can be introduced between the veneer and the solid strip 13. This way, any small differences in expansion and contraction are visually lost within the join, maintaining the clean line we are after. Now let's talk about how to actually execute this. First, you need to choose your veneer strip. It needs to be straight and flexible. The 1.5 mm thickness is ideal because it is thick enough to stop a brush or roller, but thin enough to not look bulky on the wall. You can find this from specialty woodworking suppliers. A product like the 1.5 mm birch veneer blanks used in manufacturing would be a perfect starting point. Next comes the prep. The wall surface where you are going to apply the strip must be clean and smooth. You would prepare it as you would for any painting project. Fill any holes, sand down the existing paint, and ensure the surface is free of dust and grease. A clean, flat substrate is non-negotiable for a good paint job and is even more critical when adding a physical element like our veneer strip. Now you need to decide the line. Using a long spirit level and a pencil, mark exactly where you want the two paint colors to meet. This is your guideline. You will then apply a thin, even bead of high quality wood glue or construction adhesive along this line. Carefully press the 1.5 mm veneer strip onto the glue, following the line precisely. Wipe away any excess glue that squeezes out with a damp cloth. Once the glue is dry, you have a permanent physical barrier on your wall. Now you can paint. The best part is, you don't need to use any tape on the edge of your strip. Just load your brush or roller with paint and paint right up to the wood. The 1.5mm lip will naturally stop the paint from crossing over. This is the paint a shadow line without tape promise in action, and it is incredibly satisfying. The result is a line that looks far more intentional and architectural than a painted edge. It looks like a design feature, not just a boundary between two colors. The wood grain, even on a simple strip, adds a tiny bit of warmth and texture to the transition. It breaks up the colors in a way that feels more substantial and considered than a simple painted line ever could. The versatility of this technique also means you can play with materials. Instead of a simple wood strip, you could use a thin metal profile or a piece of PVC trim. The principle remains the same. If you're going for a different look, maybe a brass or matte black strip for a more industrial feel, you can adapt it. The guide itself becomes part of the interior design. Now, it's important to address that this trick is a specialized application, and finding it formally documented as a painting hack might be difficult. It is not a mainstream method because it asks for a different skill set than standard painting. It requires you to think like a woodworker or an architect, applying a physical piece of material to create a permanent fixture. It is a hack born from craftsmanship, not a quick fix. But that is precisely why it works so well. In professional woodworking, edge banding and thin strips of veneer are used to create fine details all the time. One experienced cabinet maker even suggests gluing long pieces of wood together to create a sandwich, and then slicing off strips from the edge to use as decorative banding 5. This shows the level of precision and craft that is possible with such materials. So, if you are tired of the unreliability of painter's tape and want a permanent, high-quality solution for a two-tone wall, give the 1.5mm veneer trick a try. It is a small project with a big impact. It makes a space feel more custom, more thought out. It turns a simple painting task into a small act of craftsmanship that will make you smile every time you see it. And the beauty of this project is its simplicity. Once the strip is up and the paint is dry, you can walk away. There is no tape to peel off, no touch-ups to do, no risk of peeling the new paint with a sticky edge. It is done. That is the luxury of a physical barrier. It works, not because of a chemical promise, but because of simple, reliable physics. So, which two colors would you finally put next to each other with this trick? Let me know in the comments below.